The beep has been removed from this video, and as always, this video is highly educational.
Beep, beep, beep.
Okay, there's a wasp working the area here. I'm just going to keep an eye on it. It's up there. I hope you can see it there. It's on a leaf right in the middle of the screen there. Maybe I'll put a circle around it. Come down, you beauty. I want to see you. It's come down to the ground here. It's working this area here. I think this is the style of wasp that hunts out beetles. Okay, very hard to keep an eye on this one. It's a beautiful thing. It's gone under there. There it is doing its work. Stunning. I've seen one of these working before. I've got some great video of one of these if this one flies away, but I'll watch this one for now. Completely beautiful to look at. I'm right up close to this wasp. It is hunting out. I'm pretty sure it hunts out beetles. It's just reappeared, and I'm just keeping a very close eye on this one. I'm going across the plant there. Okay, it's airborne again. It is stunning to look at. I love it when it's in the sun. It's gone into the shade now. It's on the move again. It's a devil to see. If it does go to ground, it's very hard to work out where it's gone. Oh, crikeys. While I'm waiting for Mrs. Wasp to reappear, I will take a look at the spider lures. The best way to describe our summer is by looking at the grass. Look at this, lush, green and wet. That's the summer we've had. Extremely wet summer. Let's take a look at the small lure here. I can't see any web. No spiders, snail activity. Okay, so the snails are starting to inhabit that one. The more luxurious lure here, without using the T word, just be carefully, of course. Well, there's no web. Okay, there's little tiny bits of web, but it's not redback, put it that way. And taking a look inside here, nice and carefully, no sign of spidey. There's a baby snail there, which is sort of cute. It's a bit alarmed because I've heated that area up. I'll just very carefully save that snail because I don't want to crush it when I put the lid back on. Let me save that little chap. I'll carefully flick him into the garden. Okay, he's saved. It's been unusual not to lure the redback spiders, and maybe if I go to some cutaway footage here, I can explain it like this. It has been the summer of the lizard, or really, I should say skink. There have been so many skinks around the house, it's not funny. We've also had a mouse problem, but that's a story for another day. And by looking at the mouse problem, I could see the skinks at play. So yeah, I think the grand number of skinks is always going to pull down redback spiders, because I'm absolutely certain, I have seen it, where the skinks will grab those redbacks. And to give you some scale, they're not your small scale skinks. These are the larger ones that if you ever try to pick them up, they will give you quite a hefty little nip. Quite strong, very fast moving, very stealthy. And I think they're pretty good at cleaning up all the redbacks. Actually, speak of the devil, look what's on the bricks there. I have to move extremely slowly here because these skinks are very, very aware of their environment. I'll try to zoom in. And as I creep closer, it's going to do the bolt on me. You can see by the brick there, the scale of skink we're dealing with. And it looks like it's spotted me here. If I keep crawling in, yep, it's bolted. Here's another redback spider lure here. I know people say, oh, but you never did a redback spider roundup. Well, if there's no spiders, I can't do a roundup. Very simple. There is a small spider in there. It could be a friend of the garden. It is just down there. I'll get my finger down near it. Okay, it's not a redback, I can tell you that. I think it's a friend of the garden, that one, so we want to keep that. We'll take a look inside the lure here. Okay, looking down inside there, guess what? It's looking very, very clean. Very unusual. Another factor going on, considering we've had so much rain, it's been so wet, maybe the redback struggle when it's a wet summer. I'm also noticing a lot of ant activity, lots of it on the front fence, the brick area. It looks like they're carrying their young to higher ground, and I know for a fact, and I've seen it in the house, where when there's stacks of rain, you get a lot of ants coming into your home, and it's almost like they can perceive when there's a lot of bad weather coming. Some people argue the fact that ants haven't got a clue, but I would actually argue the other way from what I've seen going on at our place over the years. I just double checked. I do have the footage of the Blue Flower Wasp that I captured a couple of years ago. It's stunning to look at. But what I'd like to take a look at right now are the citrus trees here, which were given a treatment a month ago. Mummy's pruned this one back here quite nicely. It's starting to look really nice. But I'm starting to see trouble on this one right here. And that trouble is very simple. More stink bugs have decided to come along and live here. There's another one there, and there's a pair mating just around there. Nasty business. In fact, the more I look here, the more that I see. Crikeys, they're everywhere. Sneaky things, you gotta sometimes move some stuff around to see where they are. So maybe from this, I'm learning that detergent's done a partial knockdown, but it hasn't done the sort of knockdown that I know the Flamethrower does so well. It's time to lock and load. It's one thing to knock out the stink bugs, but you also need to knock out the eggs they lay on the back of the leaves as well. And on this tree here, they like to lay the eggs on the sunny side of the tree. And I've started to get my eye into where I can find the matrix of eggs, and there's a set there. That's what you really need to knock out on the citrus tree, because if you don't take out these eggs, you just get the stink bug coming back over and over. I've done a time-lapse study of differently affected leaves, that is by detergent and by heat, and what was the outcome of egg sacs that were on the leaves. It's actually quite interesting what goes on. I learned a lot about stink bugs by seeing the way the young operate once they're out of those eggs. I'll let you into a little secret. The best solution to knock out those eggs is what comes next. That's what I call dusted. Because I'm playing with the stink bugs. Look who's down here, Mrs. Inquisitive, just enjoying the sun, and she's now camera shy. I learned quite a few things when I did detergent versus fire and stink bug control on citrus trees. A few people said the detergent will affect the trees and knock them around. Well, not from what I can see. This tree had a stack of detergent put on them. In fact, all the trees did. This one probably had the least amount of fire. The parts where fire had hit, look at that. Look at that new growth there. And this tree here had more fire on it. And look at this tree here. If I go in, especially on this spot here, look at the new growth going on there. So this tree is going to bounce back and be way better than what it was before. I am quite paranoid. I go around checking underneath the leaves for the stink bug eggs that are in that strange matrix that they lay up. Because if they're around, I'm going to be in more trouble. This is the big old lemon tree in the backyard. It also got a massive prune back, and I think it's going to be the best thing for it. It's going to bounce back and be way, way better than before. This is the part of the garden that was often the hive of redback spider activities around the pots. This has been moved around and changed a fair bit. I've had a good look around here. I'm not going to bore you with a tight look at everything, but I can tell you what, if I'm not seeing any web around the tubs and pots, guess what? There's no spideys. There were some spider lures down the back corner here. Some sort of critter bridge being put up there. It's a bit unusual. Let's take a look inside this lure without doing an edit. Very carefully turn this over. See who's in there. Well, to me, that's looking remarkably clean. Quite amazing to have sort of next to nothing in there. That thing there, I don't think it's spiderific. It's some sort of casing from something that's no longer around. I'm sure the audience can ID whatever that is. I'd actually introduced the grey house spiders down here. It feels like a couple of years back now. I'm starting to lose track of time because of things that have happened around the world in recent years. I just moved the critter crossing here. I've got no idea what that's for. I'll take a look at this lure here. I'm not going to waste too much of your time on this because I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to find. Remarkable. I've never been so lucky in finding so few spiders. That's the pumpkin vine, looking fine and dandy, and there's something really cool down here, and again it's an indicator to the very strange wet summer we've had. It resides in this wet tub here, and it's a very nice thing to see. It's something that takes me right back to my childhood. I used to spend a lot of times in the local creeks fishing out these guys. I brought down a couple of things to help see these beautiful critters. It's just going to take a couple of scoops in the right or wrong spot. And very carefully pour the water out, and we will see the magic in the water. There they are. It's what frogs are made of, tadpoles. Very, very nice find to have in the backyard. And at night, the backyard is alive with the sound of frogs, and maybe it's another indicator to why there's very few spiders around. And now I'll be a Wikipedia expert or Wikipedia parrot, and we'll talk about the wasp that I captured video of at the start of this video. I'll marry it to video that I took back in 2017. Okay, it's a hard read for me, this one. This wasp has a fancy name of Ostroscolia sorrow. I hope I pronounced it correct. I'm not very well educated. It's also called a hairy flower wasp, or blue flower wasp, or black flower wasp, and finally a blue hairy flower wasp. And it's a common insect found in Australia. It may grow up to 3 centimeters long, which is just shy of 1 1/4 inches for people who understand imperial measurements. The wings are smoky black colour with an appealing blue sheen. Yes, it's one of the most appealing wasps that you'll lay your eyes on. It's a completely stunning little critter. The wing veins do not reach the end of the wings, and the antennae are relatively thick. Adults feed on nectar, so they need a lot of energy, and the females lay their eggs on larval beetles, and I believe what I witnessed all those years back and also earlier in the video is the wasp attempting to find a larval beetle to lay her eggs into. What a lovely thought. I remember when I took the footage that we're looking at here of the wasp trying to search out a larval beetle, the wasp was so preoccupied in doing what it was doing, I was nudging closer and closer. Very much reminded me of when you see a spider wasp with a big huntsman spider. You can get right up close to that and the wasp isn't going to be bothered with you at all. It's exciting getting some video of wasps. They can be tricky to identify in the air. They do move in a certain way, but when they're on the ground is when I feel I can really say that's a wasp, because wasps seem to move in a certain way, in that really creepy way that they do. It's almost like they're hunting around for something. They're very determined and they don't stop until they've done what they want to do. The wasp here is hunting underneath a liquid amber tree. It's the middle of February in Australia. It's the final month of summer. There's about 5 weeks to the equinox. Hot weather can go through to that point and past it, although winter will come. And one thing about nature is it works to a very tight schedule. The fact that the footage I took all those years back is basically within a week of the footage I took at the start of this video is not surprising. And I think up the end here, I put my hand down to show you a scale of the wasp, and guess what? It flies away.